Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. It's time to let go of negative thinking, understand why you do what you do and stop the self-sabotage with your host, Fran Excel.
Welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel, your resident subconscious success mentor, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. If you want to stop self-sabotaging your own success and let go of the stress, then you are in the right place, my friend. Make sure you download your free Stressed to Success guided meditation at bit.ly/stress to success as my little gift to you just for being here. Please do subscribe, share and review. It really, really helps people that need to hear this message find us, and I so appreciate it. In the show notes, you'll also find details of how you can work with me and where you can get your mitts on my meditations, products, printables, programs. You can find it through the link in my bio on Instagram, which is my favorite place to hang out. So please do come join me over there at I'm Fran Excel. Tag me in your takeaways, slide into my DMs. I'm here for it. So that's the formalities over, my love. So let's jump to the content.
Well, hello. Another Monday, here we are. Now I am house sitting again in Londonium. House and pet sitting. Last time I had a dog and forgot all my podcasting equipment. And this time I have Puss, the cat. But I am in Londonium, so if there are more sounds than normal, that's what's going on. That's where I'm at. So, a need for validation and where we get it from is something that can hugely trip us up in our quest for a happier, more fulfilled life. According to the dictionary, the definition of validation when it comes to psychology is recognition or affirmation that a person or their feelings or opinions are valid or worthwhile. Oof. So why is it hugely important to understand our own individual nuanced version of validation? It's inextricably tied into our view of ourselves, as you can tell from that definition, right? It's tied into our self-esteem, our self-worth. And often all it takes is an awareness of it to understand that a lot of it, the ways that we try and validate ourselves, are quite simply ridiculous. And we're missing some more ways that are far more important and create changes in other areas of our lives. I often think back to why I started this podcast. It became almost like my own little journal of self-discovery through my own healing journey and things that I had learned through kind of doing the work myself and through subsequently years and years of study and training into, I think I'm up 10 different modalities now. It made me a bit mad that nobody had told me this stuff before. You know, we suffer in silence, right? Because we're not told this stuff. Until I realized most people haven't been told it themselves. So I kind of went on a bit of a mission to help people understand themselves in all their glorious humanness. It's something that brings me immense joy to know. It's something that genuinely creates awe and wonder for me on a daily basis, genuinely. Watching other people and witnessing my own thoughts and behaviours and changes and shifts that I've been able to make in my own life and obviously the lives of my clients as well. Seeing those shifts and how possible they are, and when people have that little light bulb moment of like, oh my God, like this thing that's been causing me pain or suffering doesn't have to be there anymore, right? It's game-changing stuff and far more simple than we make it. And I believe the world would be an unrecognizable place if people simply understood the way that they worked as humans and had a greater degree of self-awareness. If they understood on an intimate level their nervous systems, what their own individual nuance was in their programming that made them think, feel, and behave in the ways that they do. And understanding validation and the ways in which we seek and try to create it for ourselves and the ways that we validate others is a huge, huge, huge part of this. Massively underestimated. We will have all had different experiences of the messaging, the various messages that we're given through society, through culture, gender, when we grew up, income level, appearance, so much more around what makes you valid and worthwhile as an individual, which in itself is bananas, right? To think that somebody else is telling us that. But anywho, I just want to briefly remind you that you are always valid and worthwhile, no matter your background, upbringing, or any of these things. There's only so much of this I can cover in one episode, but I highly suggest that you grab your journal and dig into this, because it may seem like it's not that much of a big deal, but I promise you it's huge. When you start to unravel validation, so much starts to change. The way you see yourself, the way you see others, the way you start to see the world. So what do you believe makes you valid or worthwhile, or makes a human valid and worthwhile? Is it being in a relationship, whether you're married or have kids? Is it your job title or income level? Is it the number on the scales or the size of your clothes? Is it being masculine or feminine? Is it the friends that you have and the circles you keep and how many of them there are? Is it your family? Is it what you choose to eat? Is it where you choose to go? So many other questions, right? But then whatever those answers are, is it true? Does it actually validate you? Does it make you valid and worthwhile as a human? Does it make you better or worse human? Less worthy in any way at all? Hopefully you're starting to see what I'm getting at here. Does any of it really matter? And does it really matter to you? The trick is to start to seek internal validation. And the way you do that, in my opinion, is to start to analyze your thoughts and beliefs and really, truly figure out what you think and be open to being wrong. Yeah, it's a big one, right? Nobody likes to be told that they're wrong, that their opinion is wrong. But be open to it shifting, because that's what it's all about, right? Like really understanding what you think is important and live by it as much as humanly possible. You might have heard the saying before, your word is your bond. You know, you hear it in the movies a lot. And I kind of like that in this instance. If you consciously choose to live in the ways and make choices according to what you believe makes someone a good person, when you've stripped away all the societal, cultural, all the other stuff, then your self-esteem is going to skyrocket. I'm not saying it will always be easy, particularly at first, because you're going against your protection mechanisms and ingrained neural pathways. But I do know that it's 100% worth it any day of the week. So what do you believe is the makeup of a good human being? Somebody worthy of happiness, contentment, peace, worthy of whatever it is that you want. What qualities do they possess? What does their life look like? What are their thought processes? What do they have? You know, tangibly or intangibly? Material or immaterial? Like, would they be just as good? A valid and worthwhile human without it? Probably. Look at what you want in your life and really dig into why you actually want it. Is it for external validation, internal validation? Or you're not really sure anymore? Like, what are you judging or not judging them for? Easy place to start with, this one, is what do you already judge yourself and other people negatively for right now? And what is the opposite of that? This is such a simple but hugely valuable exercise to do. And always flexing that self-awareness muscle, which gets you closer and closer every single day to living the life that you want to live and being the person that you want to be. Yeah? You're all here for a reason. You're all attracted to a podcast called the Positive Pants Podcast, right? But also something worth mentioning that's slightly different to what I'm talking about in this episode, but still very important to mention when we're talking about validation. How are you validating or invalidating other people? This is a huge part of healing too. Feeling understood and that you make sense and that your feelings are valid. There are so many ways that we do this to ourselves and others, that we invalidate this in ourselves and others. Toxic positivity is a great example of that. You know, ways that we tell people they shouldn't be, feel, or think a certain way. You know, I'm obviously not talking about extremes here. There are, of course, a lot of ways of being, thinking, feeling, and doing that have no place in civilized society. I'm talking in general conversation. If someone's opening up, what do you say to them? Do you tell them, oh, other people have it worse? Well, what are you going to do about it? Do you talk over them and go straight into fix-it mode and tell them what to do instead of just listening and letting them know that it makes sense that they'd feel that way? It's a big question, because as you go about your week, I would love for you to just notice with curiosity, no judgment, when you feel invalidated by someone, or if you notice yourself doing it to someone else. Unfortunately, it's very, very easily done, and most of us do it often. It's something we have to make a conscious effort to unlearn and be aware of. So, as a final reminder, you are hugely valid, valuable, and worthwhile as a human being. Wherever you're at right now, and however you might feel about yourself, your progress, or where you're telling yourself you should be. I said to a new friend recently that I really believe that life is about constant growth and evolution for the better, not from a place of not already being good enough, but from peeling back the layers of armor and protection that we've built around ourselves. Thank you, nervous system. Thank you, brain. That we've built around ourselves throughout our lifetimes to get back to being more of who you really are. Not someone different, but who you've always been. Right? Think about that for a sec. The reality is that often the opportunity to create that growth comes from some sort of pain or darkness, but it doesn't have to. We can choose to start looking for that incremental growth consciously whenever we choose to, and feel ready to. That's a big part of it. You have to feel ready to. But it's possible. And I think that's kind of magical.
So if you got value from this and you know in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and start changing things for yourself, then join the Positive Pants Toolkit app and community so you can work out what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action-taking success you know you can be. And if you want my eyes and ears on your problems, then I work with people one-on-one and through my programs. You can find all the details to join the toolkit or book in a call in the show notes, the link in my bio on Instagram, and on my website, franexcel.com. So stop waiting for if and when and choose to change things now, because you can. I'm here to believe in you when you don't believe in yourself. And as always, I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you next week. Bye.